new article on The Intercept is talking these are being killed by U.S. airstrikes and before on this show. And sadly, there is an update. This is reported by Murtaza Hussain and Rajad Parhan. We talked about back on June 6th, the U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces announced the beginning of a military campaign to liberate the northern Syrian city of Raqqa from the Islamic State. And that's when we started that. It's been almost three months. And the battle for this city is still waging on. And more and more civilians are dying from U.S. airstrikes. I guess a relatively small number of ISIS fighters are trying to defend the punitive capital, and there are roughly 160,000 civilians that are trapped in this situation. The Intercept spoke to activists inside Raqqa earlier this month. They described an increasingly desperate situation. Despite the bombardment, Syrian activist groups like Sound and Picture, that's a group, and the link is in that I'll put below, are continuing work documenting abuses in the high-built city. The airplanes are heavily striking the city, and many of the places they are targeting are empty of U.S. ISIS fighters and full of civilians. An anti-ISIS Syrian activist from Raqqa told The Intercept the number of civilians being killed today is much more than the ISIS members. Another guy talked about the death of his father in an airstrike in June. The plane hit the streets where he was walking to go home. There were no ISIS members or headquarters in that street. My father was only 50 meters from home. I wish that he had hurried home that night, but it was too old and it took a long time. And there's a lot of, there's another report that was released by Amnesty International, a report titled I Won't Forget This Carnage, documents in detail the growing civilian death toll from airstrikes and shelling in and around the city. The monitoring group Air Wars, we've mentioned them before on this show, estimates that between 725 and 993 civilians have been killed by coalition attacks since the assault on Raqqa began this June. And people are dying on a daily basis. And they've seen examples of entire families getting wiped out. And this was reported by Alex Hopkins, a researcher at Air Wars. And there's just an increased mass casualty rate, and no one seems to care from the coalition. The U.S. just doesn't seem to care. August 14th, a coalition airstrike in Raqqa City killed a mother, Nila Hamad El-Aran El-Shahab, and her 3 children, Marwa, Ahmed, and Miriam. 3 days later, another strike killed 30 members of the El-Sarah family, including several children. I'm so sick of reporting on this. I will continue to do it. I'm sick of it because I'm just embarrassed to be American when I report these stories. And I'm going to speak up about it. I don't have a huge show. I've only got a couple hundred views. I get 200-300 views per video. If I got a video that does well, maybe it gets up to 1,000 or something like that. But share these videos. Let your neoliberal friends know this is what we're doing. This is what we're killing. And this has been going on not just since Obama and Bush. I mean, this is what we've been doing. And it's weird. There's no videos of this woman and her 3 children dying on August 14th. Weird. 3 days later, another strike killed 30 members of the El-Sarah family, including several children. August 21st, yet another attack killed 8 members of the Al-Awi family, internally displaced refugees who had previously fled from fighting in their home city of Palmyra. Amnesty International researchers also visited a farmhouse in the Kamyal Salhia area of northwest Raqqa, where 14 people were reportedly killed in a coalition attack before the campaign to take the city officially began. Amnesty found fragments of GPS-guided American munitions and judged that from the pattern of destruction, there seems little doubt that the house was destroyed by airstrikes. The story goes on and on with this. But here's the weird thing. U.S. military doesn't provide information about the timing and coordinates of attacks it carries out in Iraq and Syria, making it hard to judge the proportionality of strikes. And the military, what does the U.S. military? We're going to thoroughly investigate. And then what does that mean? Instead of 775 to 990 some deaths, they'll come back and say, oh, it's only 150. And that's supposed to make us feel good? Even though their number is probably bullshit. We're just bombing civilians. So I applaud The Intercept. I applaud Amnesty International, an organization I've donated to in the past. I applaud Air Wars for doing this. I applaud these people in Syria who are making phone calls and trying to get their story heard. The mainstream media will not tell you this. They will not talk about this story. They will talk about a strike and an ISIS stronghold. That'll be their version. They killed a family. They're probably all just terrorists anyway over there, right? So fuck them. We'll just call them terrorists. The corporate media, which is really wanting us to get into a nice big war with North Korea, is, this is one of the rockets that gave Brian Williams a big old boner. Oh, look at the glorious rockets. Are you happy with this, Brian Williams? That Americans' glory and power is just wiping out families? If some other country was shooting rockets at us and landing in wherever, Cleveland, Houston, Atlanta, LA, Chicago, Baton Rouge, would we be okay with that? See, I'm not. I'm not okay with this. And I'm not okay with this crap. On a Baghdad trip last week, Secretary of Defense James Mattis responded to a question about civilian deaths in Raqqa by saying, "We're not the perfect guys. We can make a mistake in this kind of warfare. Tragedy will happen. But we are the good guys. And the innocent people on the battlefield know the difference." Are you... what? Oh, so this woman that lost family members, this guy whose dad got killed, is he going to say, well, we know the good guys. The Americans are the good guys, even though they killed my dad walking home from the store? I'd love to... I'd like to see a drone strike take out Mattis, one of Mattis's kids, one of his family members. Right? There's a meth house or there's somebody doing awful internet crimes near where Mattis lives or work, and there's a drone strike, and it gets the bad guys and one of Mattis's kids. And then will Mattis go, yep, well, I know that whoever sent the drone strike wasn't perfect, but they're still the good guys, even though your kid is dead, Mattis. Are you okay with that? Because I don't think you would be, you hypocritical piece of shit. I'm so sick of this country flexing its filthy muscles and murdering civilians. I'm tired of it. Wake up. Neoliberals, you voted for Hillary. Guess what? She would be doing the same thing. She would be doing the same thing. Just like Obama did when he took us from 2 wars to 7, just like Bush did, right? There's no difference. I'm so sick of the Democratic Party's weak, corrupt bullshit. They're not much better than the Republicans. I'm tired of this. I'm embarrassed to be an American. If I travel abroad, I'm going to say I'm from California. I'm not going to say I'm American. So spread the word on this, because I'm really tired of it. And James Mattis, I'd love to see a drone strike kill somebody you care about and see if you still feel the same way. Hey, we can make a mistake. They're acting like, well, like I'm a bus driver and I dropped you off at the wrong stop. That's a mistake. Killing civilians is inexcusable. Just bombing, just crazy style. Just so you can get your pipeline with Saudi Arabia, so you can hold on to the petrodollar. It's horrifying and it's disgusting and I'm sick of it.